What's up, y'all? I'm Master P. Percy Miller, and I'm reminiscing on my first with ELLE. But before we get into it, please be sure to check out BET Burlington. You don't want to miss this. I mean, I used to be in the house, you know, trying to act like Michael Jackson. I wanna rock with you. I don't know about y'all, but that record did something for me. The first CD or tape I brought was Run DMC. I just remember walking through the community, bumping my Adidas. People say, cut that music down. Being a 10-year-old kid, going to the playground and knowing that I could put the ball in the hoop and have coaches like, how old are you? Like, you ever played basketball before? They started recruiting me saying, and I just was a kid, just go outside and play. Basketball took me on a whole different journey. It opened my mind, being able to dream big and saying, I want to make it out of this environment where I'm at, because we couldn't afford to go to school back then. But I'm like, you know, with this basketball, I was able to get into a major university and educate myself and be able to do what I'm doing now with my life was all because of basketball. I was in the car listening to the radio. And when my song came on, Bout It, I mean, we went crazy. Like me and my friends, we in the car. I can't believe I'm on the radio. Because at that time, you had to be from the East Coast or the West Coast, you know, to actually get some props in the music business. So being from the South and hearing my record on the radio station, I knew that something was about to change. Like, something big was gonna happen. I didn't know it was gonna happen this big, that was gonna go from selling no records to one day selling 100 million records. It's nothing but God, it's nothing but a blessing. But that day let me know that I just might make it big time. You know, I even called my mom, I'm on the radio, turn the radio on. That track, Bout It, that's really what opened my career up in the South to take over. But that song was really for Mr. Goldman. I was gonna make a jingle for a jewelry store. And then all of a sudden, I just started saying, Bout It, I'm Bout It. And the magic just happened. It came and I started putting all the hoods, the communities, the cities, and putting it into the record. And it ended up being a national hit. That was the first time that we actually heard people represent.
I represent none but G, from Richmond, California, all the way back to New Orleans.
It just ended up being incredible. It was like a scene where like, it was like a shooting or something like that. And I remember the real police coming. We had fake police, but the real police coming. I'm thinking, wow, we about to go to jail. The guys we had with us, you know, this is the music video. Because we was on the ground, laying on the ground, and then the police pull up, and I'm like, we in trouble. But that was my first video. It's called The Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me. The first time No Limit made headlines when the Ice Cream Man album came out. Nobody has ever seen that, because you gotta realize back in the days, it was NWA, Ice Cube, Ghetto Boys. They all wore black. And so for the Ice Cream Man, I wore the white Dickie suit. It just lit up everything. It changed the game. People start wearing that into the concerts, into the arenas. And also the No Limit Soldiers, the camouflage. People always talk about the camouflage, the tank. Seeing those stories everywhere, I mean, that was my first time knowing that we definitely going national now. My first big investment that I made outside of music was clothing. No Limit Clothing, P. Miller Clothing. That was the first time somebody from the hip hop world had actually put their own money into a clothing company. We making this noise into the music industry. Why not have our own clothes? And so I targeted a bunch of places to put our clothes into these stores to compete with a lot of these companies, because I felt like African Americans, we didn't really have ownership in the clothing business. My philosophy on Black ownership is it's an imbalance. When you talk about building economic empowerment, we have to bottom of the food chain. We don't get an opportunity to sit down at the big table. And I think it comes from preparation. It comes from preparing the next generation with education. And I want to change that narrative. I feel like that's my purpose. My purpose is to educate this culture and the next generation on how to be prepared to change this financial gap. I'm tired of marching and protesting without having a plan of action and without getting something done. And this is the change that we do that. I realized that I wanted to own an HBCU when I went to college myself, and I was gonna go to Southern University. And one of my friends, Avery Johnson, he went to Southern University, and when I went to visit him, it was a lack of air conditioning in the South. It's hot. All the kids had fans in their windows. They had books, but they had older books there. And I ended up not going there because of that. I was like, man, when I went to the other school, so Southern right here, LSU right across the street, you look at LSU, they have all this nice stuff. And they don't have this at the HBCUs, and we gotta go fix the problem, but we only could fix the problem if we could talk about. Like even a lot of my friends, they was afraid to talk about this, but we all talk behind the scenes on how it's not right. I started thinking about it as I watched the NBA All-Star game and they played at the HBCU. And I'm like, wow, imagine now we have the NBA coming there and LeBron and them talking about this and actually showing up. So imagine if we prepare the next generation with the proper tools, how many successful African Americans, men and women, that are gonna be able to put money back into the community, in the culture if they're successful. And that's when I said, I used to wanna own the NBA team, but now I wanna own the HBCU so I could make a model of how it should be, what they should have in there, how it should look. We should have first class everything like a lot of these state-funded universities have, just giving us a better start to be able to chase our dreams and our goals and do it comfortably. Knowing that we have just been devastated by tragedy, just thinking, what can I do to help the people in my community? And I wanted to focus on the elderly because I know a lot of people forgot about the elderly. You know, it was hard for them to back away. That's what my heart is set on, constantly just going back, helping them get back into a good living arrangement. I deal with this facility in New Orleans called Gus Senior Living. And a lot of kids that I grew up with, they forget about their parents because they done got older, they don't go visit them. After those 15 years, I just kept going back. I want to make it better for them. Matter of fact, I just put a grocery store up in Gus Homes yesterday. And thanks to Ross's Grocery Stores for partnering up with us. I think one of my relatives came to the job and they wanted to work for me. And I said no, because I understand this person is not on the same page with me. And that was the hardest thing I had to do because I love the person, but I'm like, you're gonna mess up my business. And you know, sometimes you can't be afraid to cut people off. And that was one of those days that if I would have let that family member work with me, I don't think my company would be where it is today. So that was a hard one. That was a hard no. Back then, the warehouse was big. Like we talk about music and movies, and these guys just didn't understand my brand. This was I'm About It, the movie, saying that they wouldn't put the movie into their stores because they don't sell movies. And I'm like, but this is not about a movie. This is a movement. You have to explain that to these guys. So they kept saying no. And I say, you know what? I'm going down there myself. And I tell people all the time, when they shut the door on you, go through the window, or sometimes you gotta go through the chimney. So I'm sitting there with this guy and he's like, you know what? We really feel it's not that you brought it to us, you know, it was just explained over the phone. Sometimes you need to show up. So I showed up and got the deal done. Solange and Beyonce used to come, you know, hang around our house back in the days, and Solange always was kind of like in the shadow, but she was so talented. And I told her, I said, you're a star and I'm proud of you. You know, she was like, okay, I'm doing this project. I'm ready. We got to work together. Can you just come say something on this one song for me, right? So I got to the studio. I said something on the first track. And all of a sudden, Solange's like, no, I need you to talk on every track. I'm like, talk on every track. I don't think that's gonna work, but all right, what you want me to do? Because I've always believed in her. And I always told people that, you know, if you believe in yourself and you find one other person that believes in you, like you'll go a long way. And this album ended up being so successful because of what she stands for. And I just put in there what I stand for and what we stand for as a culture. All these beautiful kings and queens and where our heritage comes from. And I spoke about ownership and about diversity, and then it turned into a masterpiece, and I'm proud of her. You're not in the music business till you get a hit record. So stop thinking you're a star when you're trying to create something. Stay humble throughout your journey. Because a lot of people think they have a hit record, but if you're not making money off that record, people are not playing this music. It's like the guy said in the movie with Prince, nobody loved your music but you. Nah, that ain't a hit record. Everybody else have to love that record too. Thanks for watching me reveal my first with ELLE. Don't forget to continue watching Boiling Point. I just want to tell y'all this was amazing. We're going to continue doing videos like this. So keep them L's up. It's not a loss, it's a lesson.